So I just finished Persona 5 not too long ago after 2 years. 2 long years. Not because I actually played it through the 2 years, but because I played it on stream only. Follow me on twitch.tv, Lucatuni008. Some of the most important and funny moments have been clipped and can be seen there, so go check them out. I'm gonna be playing Persona 5 Royale when it comes out, so if you like Persona and like this video, you should pop a follow. All that bantering aside, I love Persona 5. So here's a rant of my favorite parts, one of which I don't know if a lot of you have noticed, so hopefully it's cool enough to share and you learn something new along the way. This video contains heavy spoilers for Persona 5. I've not played Persona 5 Royal at the time of writing the script, so if there's anything that Persona 5 Royal has that touches upon the subjects that I'm going to talk about in this video, I will revisit this video and upload it with the Royal taken into account. However, if that video doesn't happen, then this video still applies for that. And evident from the fact that this is a rant, this video will not be organized in any way, and it's just me spilling out my thoughts and opinions about the game and why I love this so much and why it's probably just my favorite game of all time. So, Persona 5, right? Like I said in the beginning of the intro, it might just be my favorite game of all time now. This game just has so much style and everything the game does. It is just so addicting in gameplay, and the characters are so charming and likable. I began playing and streaming this game at a personal low point in my life, and as awful as it sounds, all of the horrible situations in the game that made me feel better in an odd way. If I had to explain it, it would be something along the lines of almost being able to find solace in the problems that the protagonists go through. However, even after I had gotten over this year-long low point in my life, and I was at my highest point of my life to be real, the stories and struggles the characters go through is just so phenomenally written and just real. The story is really good, the style and aesthetic is outstanding, and on top of it all, the gameplay is just stellar. I don't like turn-based RPGs all that much unless they have an interesting spin, like Pokemon's general cuteness, evident from me dropping incredible games such as Octopath Traveler after just a couple of hours. The ability to fuse personas is that interesting spin for me. Every persona is unique in design, which scratches that catch-em-all itch that Pokemon gives me, and if you fuse them instead of capturing them, even their moveset is unique, something that even Pokemon doesn't have. Oh, and don't get me started with real-life portions because oh my god. The RPG portion of the game is good, but the combination of that and how it's impacted by your real-life actions, like hanging out with friends or going to the gym, is both the coolest and simplest RPG mechanic I had never thought of, but is so obvious in retrospect. The game is just stellar both in gameplay and in design, and it's probably one of my favorite games of all time. In terms of tone, wowee is this game mature. I mean, I knew this coming into the Persona franchise through word of mouth, but wow. And I mean this in the most flattering way I can, by the way. The struggles of the main characters all involve some really fucked up situation in real life, like abuse, both physical and sexual, suicide, pedophilia, corrupt governments, etc. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that all of these are tackled in the correct way, shining light on them and discussing why they're created in our society in a mature way that does not fantasize the reality that many people could be going through at this very moment. I've seen multiple people complain that a lot of the powerful themes and ideas the game presents about these topics are undervalued due to the fact that the only way the adults would change, not just in palaces but in mementos as well, is thanks to quote-unquote magic that the Phantom Thieves employ. But let me just say one thing about that. It's a video game for a reason, dummies. If the conflict could be resolved through means that is not going to the palace and engaging with the other half of the game, then what is the purpose of having the Phantom Thieves change hearts in the first place? If I could, for example, talk to Takase's parents and Kawakami's confidants instead of going to change their hearts, then the whole idea of corrupt adults to the point of no return that the game reinforces since the beginning of the game does not carry over. At the end of the day, Mementos is everyone's palace, and these people that are separated are said to have their cognition distorted enough to have this place for themselves. Ranting about other people aside, I believe that the mature and real tone that the game sticks with is executed perfectly within the power, fantasy, and fantastical universe of Persona 5. I don't know how to make transitions, so the eager twist. Persona 5 is my very first Persona game. I had watched a Persona 4 Golden playthrough from one of my favorite streamers, Fox Queen. Go follow her, by the way. She's way funnier than I am. This happened around the year before I began playing Persona 5, but I had also come to at the end of her playthrough, so Igor's voice wasn't as prevalent in my head or in the stream I was watching. So when it was revealed that Igor was not Igor, I was so shook. It was a great plot twist in my opinion, although that might have been heightened by the fact I wasn't aware of the Persona franchise before that. Regardless, it was great. Igor was portrayed as a force of good since the very beginning. A very odd force of good, to be honest, but one regardless, especially as he gives you the tools to rehabilitate through persona fusion and things of that sort. I did not know that there was a change in voice actor in the trailers, so to me it was such a good twist and completely unexpected. The idea of fighting a corrupt god created by the distorted desires of the entire world is such a bizarre idea that just wouldn't work in any way in my head, but it has such a good setup throughout the fact that Igor wasn't Igor and he was misleading you the entire time. It is just wow. I cannot put to words just how incredible and how mind-blowing it was to see that the force of good that I've entrusted all of my trust throughout the entirety of the game was actually misleading me the entire time. And the idea of the trickster and putting them up against each other with Akechi was all just a cover-up for the god to have a reason to play with me. It was just incredible. Speaking of incredible, God, was the ending so good, it was so hype. Seeing the belief meter go from 0 to 100 thanks to Mishima's words to the rest of the Japanese public, seeing Satanael float up behind the crew, and then both Joker and Satanael pulling up their gun to make a hole in the face of God, it was all so sick. I believe I wouldn't be as hyped up if I wasn't so invested in the game in the first place, and the fact that Mishima was there made it all the more better. I've heard and seen other reviews that didn't focus on the Mishima confidant, that Mishima doesn't show up at all to cheer up other people and it's just some random dude. That's just not as hype at all. So please definitely do the Mishima confidant. After that, seeing Morgana finally happy and relieved about himself and the future was just a beautiful moment, even if he was Infinity War dusted afterwards. And finally, seeing the protagonist right away with the rest of the thieves was such a bittersweet moment as a wonderful 105, I repeat, 105 hour game that delved into real and deep subjects had come to a close. I don't have a transition for this one either, but we're gonna talk about Morgana. This is the big one. A lot of people criticize Morgana's actions and how he reacts to events, objects, people in the Persona world, such as his adoration for palace treasures, just his general actions around On, and his harsh and envious responses to other Phantom Thieves, and that he acts like a child. But it is actually all reasonable within the knowledge you have by the end of the game. Morgana was born from the last remains of the hope of mankind, meaning that the previous abundant hope was slowly chipped away by the distorted desires, i.e. the 7 deadly sins. Let me explain a little bit. Throughout the game and throughout the palaces you discover, each one is a different one of the 7 deadly sins. Kamoshida is lust, Maruram is envy, Kaneshiro is gluttony, Futaba is sloth, Okumura is greed, Sai is wrath, and Shido is pride. At least that's how I see it. There are some different interpretations. You could say Kamoshida is pride as well, but in order to fit my 7 deadly sins idea, that's how I'm picturing it. And then the god has all 7. All of these entities break other people down for the gain, and I see it as removing their hope. Kind of how Mishima and Shiho wouldn't think standing up to Kamoshida would be even possible. With all of that considered, doesn't it make sense for Morgana, the embodiment of hope, to be attracted to treasures as a form of greed? How he always throws comments at aunts, the stereotypically hottest character, as a form of lust. How he despises Ryuji, because even though he's proud of his achievements while he is a cat, he's not human like Ryuji, and is envious of it. How he always tells you to sleep as a form of slut! Joking aside, all of his wacky and incomprehensible actions in games start looking quite reasonable through the eyes of a hope incarnate, and when he finally realizes that he does have the power to fight corruption, that he is the hope of humanity, and starts believing in himself, he never manifests his problems again. I don't know about you, but I thought this was a genius storytelling and a phenomenal character arc in the game. And I can't understand how some people just completely overlook that and say that just it's Morgana acting childish and completely out of character when his whole character revolves around the idea that he is hope manifested. Last but not least, I noticed after thinking back upon Confidence I had completed and all, it is just brilliant how similar Akechi and Mishima are. They both are attention and power-hungry individuals that change drastically when they finally have it. Mishima begins to think that all of the work of building up the Phantom Thieves to the public eye falls on him, and overworks himself down to the bone for it. After that, he believes that people and the Phantom Thieves owe him favors, such as like dates, stealing hearts, etc. for his actions, and he ends up asking the thieves to steal another person's heart solely because he doesn't like that person. I think. It's been a long time since I finished Mishima's Confidant. It was the first one I finished. After that, Mishima himself manifests a corrupt cognitive version of himself in Mementos, and the Phantom Thieves have to stop him by knocking his ego down just a couple levels. Akechi follows a similar story. He seeks approval and power throughout his life, and he's finally allowed to have it when the power of a person is granted to him by the corrupt god. He uses his powers as exchange for favors from others. He extorts the thieves into stealing Sai's heart, and to stop the cognitive heists after that. The only difference between Mishima and Akechi is that Mishima had Joker as a friend to fall back on when his desires became distorted, while Akechi never did, which led him to insanity and doing horrible acts. This is even alluded by Akechi himself, saying that maybe if they had met earlier, the final fight against him wouldn't have happened. Maybe Akechi would have been a Phantom Thief himself, but by the time Akechi meets Joker and the rest of the Phantom Thieves, it's too late for him. Mishima and Akechi are incredible foils of each other, and it shows tangible evidence for the power of Joker, and by consequence the player, has over their interpersonal relations with the characters. This just further reinforces just the importance of the real-life aspect of Persona 5, and it makes me appreciate it even more as part of the game. And like I had said in the previous section, this portion is what has the twist of the RPG that makes me enjoy it. And to see how well and detailedly crafted it is, even if it was just by mistake that they created two foils of each other, it is just an incredible feat of character arc and story writing. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Persona 5. Like I said before at the beginning of the video, this rant is relatively short. I wanted to keep it short and sweet because I'm not the right person to be nitty-gritty picking at all the in-game stuff. But if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. I stream Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday on Twitch. And yeah, thank you all for stopping by, and Papa bless, all the love, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Based on the rules, even if more than one, only the one who actually carried, assuming the rule holds true.
Yup.
No, it's wrong.
You got it perfectly. Oh my god.
Since there were 2 murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
You got it perfectly, Vlad. Good job.
What do you mean?
T.